Gaming has introduced me to some interesting concepts and themes over the years. From trash-talking anime protagonists to the manliest of shooting game leads, gaming has done quite a bit for me. However, at one point there was a game that combined the aspects of dancing, shooting, and rhythm. Well, there was Space Channel 5, but those are thoughts for another time. I'm Dandelion, and these are my thoughts on PN03. PN03 is short for Product Number 3. This is a 2003 science fiction third-person shooter video game, developed by Capcom Production Studio 4, and published by Capcom for the Nintendo GameCube. It's set in the science-fictional space colony compound that follows a female mercenary fighting against berserk robots. It was directed by Shinji Mikami. The game designers emphasize defensive and rhythmic maneuvers. The player controls Vanessa Z. Schneider, a freelance mercenary working on colonized planets. She's contracted by a mysterious client to destroy a computerized armament management system, CAMs, robots that have gone berserk. To combat the CAMs, Vanessa wears her stylish Aegis suits, or Aegis suits, however you care to pronounce it. These are powered exoskeletons that allow her to fire energy beams from the palm of her hand and perform powerful attacks called energy drives. Pressing the A button allows the player to fire Vanessa's palm shot. The suit will determine your rate of fire. The B and Y buttons and the shoulder buttons are your methods of evasion. You can jump with the B button and dodge left or right with the shoulder buttons. The Y button allows the player to crouch, while just holding forward or backward while crouching will allow you to roll. The Z button will let Vanessa perform a 180-degree spin, and boy does this come in handy for those pesky enemies that decide to spawn in late behind you. The X button is your switch/lock-on button. From what I've seen, you will rarely need to use this button since Vanessa tends to target the strongest enemy on screen first. Using the C stick, you can adjust your camera angle. By tapping it in the direction that you want, your camera angle will be adjusted to that direction. You can tap it again to return it to its original position. This method does take some getting used to because these are just different angles and not a freely moving camera. Once you get it down, it helps when attacking enemies from cover or from around a corner. A free camera would have been much better though. Your directional buttons are used for inputs to the energy drive. If done correctly, Vanessa's back will glow and she will unleash a very powerful attack. These can range from single target moves to AoEs. As long as you have the energy in your gauge, you can use as many of these attacks as you like. PN3 is supposed to be a fast-paced action shooter with dazzling moves and spectacular finishers. However, the game only delivers that halfway. Vanessa, for example, is supposed to be very quick and agile, but she really isn't. She feels rather slow, only having style. Her control scheme really isn't that too different from any type of first-person shooter, honestly. The game does have style. If you move the control stick backwards, she spins. The different poses she strikes when shooting scream fabulous, and she's always in some form of motion. Seriously, her idle motion is literally her just tapping her foot, bopping her head to the rhythm. Like, there's constant movement. Unlike other shooting games, PN3 seems to have a few restrictions to it. For example, there isn't any free aiming. Everything is locked on too. Most third-person shooters usually allow you to aim at any enemy freely, and sometimes have a bullet time mechanic in them as well. PN3, however, has chosen to go with an auto lock-on feature. Because of this, the player can put more focus into dodging enemy attacks in a more real-time setting, while taking the enemies out. This creates a type of momentum as you go throughout the game, feeling challenged to clear zones without getting hit. Vanessa's model has a rather well-built design, and their various suits look great on her also. It's like a lightly armored version of Samus to a degree, if you catch my drift. While gameplay's pretty neat, the game suffers on some visual and story fronts. The environments and the enemies in the game are all recycled so much that it becomes mind-numbing. Enemies will spawn in the same places at almost every stage, and they use the same tactics. Stages look the same as you progress throughout the game also. The game is supposed to take place on a space colony, and each environment is just a deserted desert, and a wasteland with an indoor facility that is the same layout in every single stage. I mean, they could have easily added a nice jungle area or a city-like level to at least shake things up a bit. You could have added some people behind glass windows or something. Throw something in there, make it feel like a space colony. The music in the game leaves much to be desired though. Now the game runs on Dolby Pro Logic 2 for a full surround sound experience, except you will be bumping techno tunes from start to finish. The quality of them is pretty clean enough, and some voice samples would have been a great addition. Now it's common for games to loop songs over and over again in certain stages and missions. Nothing wrong with that. However, most games have more songs for every stage or special events, not at the same beats on repeats over and over again. The sound effects are great though, especially a lot of the lasers, though the explosions could use a little work. PN03 was an attempt at making a stylish 3D action shooter built upon moving and dancing. However, there was too much working against it. The controls were stiff and sluggish at times, clashing with the fast-paced battles that the game serves us. The environments are not only repetitive, but very bleak, dry, and gray all the time, to the point where you get pulled out of the game after about an hour or so. The game had so much potential with ideas it used during its development, but sadly they were not explored or might have been dropped, giving us this pre-alpha mess that we have now. Alright, so let me ask you all, did you get the Try Product number 3 when it came out? What do you think about the idea of dancing and shooting being one? Would you like to see that happen again? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, this is Dandelion, signing off.